The fastest boats in the world have been speeding towards one common goal, a national championship. The danger, the damage, and the drama would all be worth it with a high points victory. All the preparation, all the racing, all for the chance to boast the best boat on the water. And it all comes down to this: one weekend, one new race course, one shot to be called national champion. It's the OPA Offshore Powerboat Racing Series, presented by Geico, next.
All units stand by for a first start. Green flag, green flag. Coming up on the turn.
For OPA Racing, it has all come down to this. For the very first time, the powerboats visit beautiful Solomon's Island, Maryland, just off the Chesapeake Bay for the final race in the National High Points Championship. Hi again, everybody. Rich Hollenberg here along with my broadcast partner, Mike Jaworski. And Mike, right here on these waters behind us, we will see some really exciting racing, and some titles are on the line.
The national championships have all come down to this. Classes 4, 5, and 6 have had great battles all year long, but this is it, guys. This is the run for the money.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this is not the home race course for any drivers per se, but it is the home race course for some very important experts in powerboat racing. Mike, you grew up on the shores here of the Patuxent River. Tell us what we have to look forward to in terms of the race course design and the waters that they'll be racing on.
Well, the race course design is like a Daytona tri-oval. Instead of just being a straightaway all the way down and a straightaway all the back, we've put a little bit of a bend in there, just like Daytona Motor Speedway. So that's going to make it a little bit different, and we also have two very different style turns here. We have one tight turn and one open turn. So this is really a setup style race.
And it certainly is a course built for speed, so we'll see a lot of fast times clocked here on the Patuxent River. Things to look forward to always. Miss Geico will be in full force. And take a look at the WHM and the Qatar race, because that might not have points involved, but there's a lot of pride in stake when you see those big boats on the water.
You know what? We weren't so much interested in a title or a championship as much as we are interested in racing the Qatar team.
Boats are fast. They accelerate fast. They have good top end in them. If anything, they're raising our game, and we're working harder and trying to figure the boat out and try to get speed wherever we can on the race course to try to catch these guys.
Atlantic City was big water. We like big water. That got canceled. You know what? Boat runs good in flat water, rough water. So you know what? This is our last shot until we go to Europe with them next year, and then we're gonna have fun here tomorrow.
So we're leading them in points, but you know, we're just coming out here to try to beat these guys. We couldn't get in front of them all season, and had a couple of second places to them, and we're coming out with everything we got today. I can tell you that much.
We want to keep talking trash as far behind as we can. If possible, we can put two boats in between us. Hopefully, that will lock us on the championship points for the series.
Yeah, you know what? I got 7 world titles, 5 national titles. I don't even race anymore for titles. I care less. It's really the day of the race, and what happens at the end of the race is what makes the difference. I'm really interested in just having a good race with these guys, and a tough race.
The numbers looked good to us, but we'll just run hard and run crazy, and try and be in front of everybody and stay away from trouble and get the boat to the checkered point, to the checkered flag.
We'll see everybody in the turn. They don't like that pin. I do.
As we take a look at the National High Points Championship in Supercat, you heard Sheikh Hassan saying they got to put a couple of boats between them and Talking Trash, as Talking Trash leads the points.
Well, first thing in the morning on race day, Mark, getting ready to take her out on the water. What are you looking for? What are you listening to?
Well, it's essential before we go out on the water that we test all the systems. Right now, what the crew is doing through a dry run. They'll do a whole dry run just as if it was going out in the water, and we were going to be running it this afternoon during race day. So they'll begin by starting the engines up and checking all the fluids and checking all the pressures. One thing that will stop us from running during a race is a stuck valve or a pressure that's just inadvertent, and it always seems to happen in the milling area just before you're about to start. So we try and mitigate that by doing these dry starts and dry runs. So the crew does this about 2-3 times a weekend. They do a mock-up just like it's about the beginning of the race, of bringing the boat to the cranes, and they'll do a dry run. They go in there, they check their communications, they check all the safety as if we were about to start the race. And the more they do it, and the more in tune they are, the anomalies that come up, the difference in a pressure, something that doesn't feel right, something that they feel in their fingers, stops them, and they know it, and we fix it before it becomes a catastrophic issue.
I'll let you get back to work. Good luck this week.
Thanks a lot.
Well, the weather has been, shall we say, up and down so far since we've arrived in Solomons Island, Maryland. So my broadcast partner, Mike Uwaski, will not only be calling the race with me, he'll also put on his meteorologist hat and keep us posted on the weather conditions, and we'll see how that will affect race time. More action coming up right after this. The national championship is on the line on the Chesapeake Bay. The 2010 OPA Offshore Racing Series is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on your insurance needs. By Coke. Twist the cap to refreshment. And by Coors Light. Toss a cold silver bullet to a friend now. It's the OPA Offshore Racing Series presented by Geico, the National High Points Championships from Solomons Island, Maryland. And the fans are getting ready for the big race, watching the boats crane into the water. But teams took to the water earlier today, and champions were crowned in Class 5 and 6.
Well, in Class 5, Outrageous came into Solomons Island, Maryland with the points lead, 471 points. But they knew they had to watch out for boat 512, Specialized Racing with 411.
And Mike, the entire 2010 season in Class 5 was an epic battle to the end. In 5 races, we had 4 different teams taking the checkered flag. Specialized took 2 wins this season, so when Class 5 took to the waters here in Solomons Island, it was do or die. And the big story was that Team Outrageous just needed to get a first or second place here this weekend, and the championship was theirs. And they made a valiant effort to do so. But Specialized Racing also needed the win to garner his 4th consecutive national championship. The 8-lap battle was fought every lap, but when the spray settled, the win went to Specialized, while Team Outrageous was penalized for breaking out of their speed bracket and given last place points.
Unfortunate for Outrageous, working so hard all season long, ending it that way here in Solomons Island, Maryland. A twist to your story though, Rich, teams could drop their worst race of the season, meaning that the lowest points they got accumulated at one race, they could drop. With that, Specialized Racing took home the national championship.
Feels excellent. We had no idea going into this that we were going to be able to beat Outrageous, and very tough competition that they are. And I feel great. It was a tough race, having those early problems with the kill switch getting pulled, and we persevered. We came back and we passed everybody.
It more exciting too because he's pushing it to get past these guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And then being able to do it with still keeping within the bracket, feels really good.
In Class 6, it was boat number 633, Was Up 2, all year long running out in front. Keep your eye on this Was Up 2 boat.
And Mike, you're right, it has been a dominating season for the little green boat called Was Up 2. Brothers Nick and Anthony Smith starting the season with 3 consecutive wins, showing the entire class they were gunning for one thing, a national title. In the 4th race, mechanical problems plagued the team, but that didn't stop them from coming to Solomons with a substantial lead.
Well, in St. Clair, we had a bit of a lifter issue, but with the way the races are set up this year, you're allowed to drop your worst finish. So we're still undefeated for the season, and still very excited and enthusiastic about the season, and it's going great.
Was Up 2 just needed to start here this weekend, and the championship was in the bag. The rival Smith brothers of Cotner Trailers took one last stab at the Jersey boys and the win, while Was Up 2 settled for second.
Well, Rich, as you mentioned before, all that Boomer and Anthony had to do was start. They did just that, and it gives them the National High Point Champion for 2010.
Never would have thought in a million years that in my 2nd year racing, I would have the High Points Championship and a national championship. It's really a dream come true.
Congratulations to all the national championships here on the OPA Racing Series presented by Geico. It's been a great season leading up to this, but there are still champions that need to be crowned. Rich had mentioned it earlier. We've been talking about the weather. It's been changing constantly here in Solomon's Island, Maryland. Sunny right now, but we've had these bands of rain coming through all day long. Rich is in the helicopter with an update.
These race teams spend countless hours trying to dial in the exact right setup for the race course conditions and the weather conditions. But the one X factor that they can never control is Mother Nature. To wit, what started as a perfectly beautiful weekend, race day conditions sunny, cloudless skies, Mother Nature has turned on a dime. Now it's overcast, it's windy, and we're even starting to get some rain. We'll see how that affects the races when we continue right after this. We are back in the chase for the championship, the OPA Offshore Racing Series presented by Geico from Solomon's Island, Maryland. Rich Hollenberg and Mike Jaworski checking the weather as much as we're checking the boats at this point. What started off as a beautifully sunny weekend has suddenly turned gray and ominous.
Definitely gray and ominous here on the Patuxent River as we get into our lineups. Cat Extreme, Miss Geico, Super Cat, WHM, Spirit of Qatar, and Super V. What's up in Strictly Business?
And in Class 1, it's been a great contest all season long between two boats and two friends, Lightning Jack and Cleveland Construction.
Watch out for TKO, Bull on the Beach in Class 3, and Formula and a new boat out here, Time Bandit, on the race course.
Now we're on board with Miss Geico. It's been an up and down season. We've documented that, but they have the Spirit of Qatar on the water too, and you know pride is at stake when those two boats are next to each other.
As we take a look on board Spirit of Qatar, you can see the raindrops to the left-hand side of your screen, meaning that the rain is starting to fall.
And the boats are queuing up for the green flag to drop. This is one of the most beautiful spectacles in all of motorsports here in Solomon's Island, Maryland, even despite the bad weather.
Despite bad weather, Spirit of Qatar on the inside, but look at Talking Trash, boat number 30, Jimmy Winters, Vinny Farice out to the early lead as here comes Miss Geico on the outside.
Yeah, a lot of people would not want that outside lane. Miss Geico says, you know what, we'll take whatever lane you give us. As long as our setup is dialed in, we're going to be the fastest boat on the water.
Well, they start to pull away from Spirit of Qatar, but look at the proximity on these boats on the straightaway. That's a boat immediately to your left as we come down across the start-finish line.
Now, Mike, we haven't even mentioned yet the fact that there are raindrops coming down. Sometimes it's lightening up, sometimes it's getting a little bit heavier. How does that affect these boats?
Well, it's really going to affect their vision. You go from having a glare to not having a glare. They have Rain-X on their windshield, so the rain is peeling off quickly, but it does affect what they're trying to do. It also affects the performance of the engines as we take a look at Super V and Class 1.
Now, the What's Up boat has the inside lane, but take a look at Lightning Jacks on the outside. A great start.
Lightning Jacks jumps out to the early lead. Here's Ed and Anthony Smith. Was up with a slight lead over Louie and Eric in Strictly Business. A 38 fountain against a 35 fountain in Super V. Here is your leader, Spirit of Qatar with Miss Geico on the outside.
And the Geico boat has really, despite everything that's happened to them this season, Mike, this is what they live for. Taking home the titles, and the national championship is the first item on their list that they want to check off.
Well, Miss Geico makes a move on Spirit of Qatar. They head down the backside of this race course. You can see Qatar losing ground quickly to the inside of Miss Geico as they head into this turn on the Patuxent River. On board Spirit of Qatar. Now that's Qatar's competition to your right. Talking Trash as we go deck to deck once again.
And there's the 95 boat, Spirit of Qatar. Got a win in St. Clair, Michigan. Looking really strong here in Solomon's Island.
Great race for Spirit of Qatar so far. They lead Miss Geico just slightly on the inside. That's Talking Trash in the middle. This is going to be a hairy corner. You can see Spirit of Qatar getting caught up in some rooster tail action there. We'll have to see how this corner pans out.
Well, that is one of the all-important corners because now all bets are off, right, Mike? They don't have to stay in any particular lanes when they're heading into these turns.
Well, as you can see right there, Talking Trash didn't stay in any lane, but look at Talking Trash move to the inside, hoses down Spirit of Qatar to try and take that inside lane.
lane. You know what? This takes me back to Sunny Isles, thinking that Talking Trash needs to protect their line.
That was like a Talking Trash sandwich in between two pieces of Qatar.
Yeah, that was something. Spirit of Qatar on the outside, Talking Trash on the inside. Let's see if Jimmy and Vinny can stay on the inside. I can tell you by that shot right there, though, that 388 skater is running flat out.
And on that flat water, these boats all look sensational. Look at 95 Spirit of Qatar just flying by Talking Trash like he was standing still.
115 to 120 miles an hour. Then you have Miss Geico on the outside of those two, going even faster, going into the corner. There you see Spirit of Qatar on the inside, Miss Geico on the outside.
Rain or no rain, Mike, this is what we were hoping for with the National High Points Championship on the line. All of these boats running at top speeds and in top condition.
Look at this battle in Super B. Was up on the inside, Strictly Business on the outside. You know, setup on a flat water race like this is key. You want to get your boat to go as fast as you possibly can.
We've learned not to predict what Mother Nature's going to do, but the Was Up boat's been doing great all season, regardless of what type of water. What should we expect from her today?
Yeah, you know, a lot of this is luck. I can't win at anything. I can go to two-horse race and I lose. You know, there's something about this boat. You know, it's been a successful boat. It's been good to us, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, anything can happen tomorrow, you know. Louis here, our biggest nemesis, you know, love racing with the man, love him to death, you know, but got to beat him. That's all there is to it. He's out there testing today, you know, looking for an extra mile an hour or something. It is going to be a real fast race course, you know, and it's good. I mean, everybody likes the big waves and the hanging and banging and all that, but this is a lot of fun as well.
Well, it looks like Was Up is in fine form here on the waters of the Patuxent River, but Louis is right on his tail, as he has been all season long.
Strictly Business going for that national championship. But then we move into Class 3. You have TKO, the V-bottom Sutphin against the Cat of Bull on the Beach. Bull on the Beach, based out of Ocean City, Maryland. TKO, your leader going across the start-finish line. Bull on the Beach in second place. Remember, these boats also battling it out for that national title in Class 3, a V-bottom versus a catamaran. Bull on the Beach looking really good.
And maybe the 2-for-1 might help Bull on the Beach. That's a pair of brothers again, the Anselmos riding in Bull on the Beach. Back to the big boats, the Super Cat and the Cat Extreme. Miss Geico on board, you see how much weather is on top of that boat, and yet they still keep her straight and keep her up at top speeds in those straightaways.
Spirit of Qatar controls the inside of the corner on Miss Geico. They have controlled the inside all day long. Remember, they control the attitude of the corner when you're on the inside. You can push them wide, slow them down, scrub off the speed, and control that corner, much like you see here. Spirit of Qatar on the inside, Miss Geico on the outside. A little bit more acceleration from Miss Geico.
How fast are these boats willing to make those turns, and what kind of miles per hour are we talking about?
Well, there's two different types of corner here. One tight, one open, so they're going to have to handle it different ways. But remember, this is a cool weather race. Every engine out there, be it a piston, be it a V12, be it a turbine engine like Miss Geico, they love cool air. So you'll see these boats making the most amount of power that they can.
A little surprised to see the separation between the boats when they make those turns. I mean, that's a wide race course.
Well, two rudder boats cannot turn as tightly as a number 6 boat. Wow, look at Miss Geico get around Spirit of Qatar as we go across the start-finish line.
A tremendous display of speed and power by this number 113 Miss Geico boat. Scotty and Mark have this boat dialed in, and all the Qatar boats can do is watch as we go around that bridge turn.
Talked to Mark and Scotty earlier in the weekend, and they said, you know what, we're going to string this 50-foot Mystic out. We're going to put on a show, but Qatar's not letting them go. But remember, Talking Trash has to be consistent. They have to run a smart race today in order to win that national championship. WHM out with some sort of mechanical problem.
That is too bad for Billy Moff and company. Miss Geico looks like it's pulling away from the rest of the fleet, and we'll have more on this race and everything else from the National High Points Championship. Welcome back to Solomon's Island, Maryland, where tens of thousands of fans have shown up en masse to see the National High Points Championship for the OPA Offshore Racing Series presented by Geico. Lots to do and see here in Solomon's Island, and there's more on that to come, but the boats are still on the water and the racing is still in top condition.
Well, the battle right now is between Talkin' Trash, the two Spirited Qatar boats, and Miss Geico. WHM out early with a mechanical issue, but look at Spirited Qatar put the move on Talkin' Trash. It looks like they found some quote-unquote secret speed all of a sudden as they're just pulling away from this fleet across the start-finish line, but there's boat number 113, Miss Geico, putting the hammer down.
Just when you think Miss Geico might have slowed it down a notch, they blow past everybody else. That's got to be demoralizing for these other boats.
Well, it's always hard to see that, but then you think about it, you say, you know what, Miss Geico's got the power to be able to do that. We need to go out there and race our race, but they are still racing for a first overall position as Miss Geico heads up the race course.
What a great deck-to-deck battle in the Super Vs. Was up on the inside, that's Ed Smith, and his good friend Louie in the Strictly Business boat right next to him on the outside. They are dancing on the Patuxent.
Another great deck-to-deck battle in Super V as we go on board with Class 3, boat number 360. Bull on the Beach all the way from Ocean City, Maryland, leads right now over boat number 22, TKO, and then another boat in Class 3, Wanted Racing, local hometown hero, Bobby Bumgardner on board. Bull on the Beach on the outside, TKO on the inside. Let's see if they can turn that V-bottom. They lay it on its side. They string it out just a little bit. Look like TKO is going to take the lead in Class 3.
And you can see from the wake of the other boats how tightly contested all these races are right now.
Bull on the Beach aired out, running perfectly as we go to Class 4. This is boat number 400, formulaboats.com.
And Mikey, let us not forget, this is the first time we get a good look at the number 23 boat. That's the Time Bandit, as they get a great look at Miss Geico as she speeds by. Time to crank it up with Miss Geico, and you should too. The sweet sounds of offshore powerboat racing. All these boats have different sounds to them too, and that has to do with their setups, right?
Well, the Qatar boats have V12 Lamborghini motors in them. There you see Talkin' Trash. He's got a V8 Super Cat 750 motor in it, so there are some differences in motor. That explains the high-pitched noises.
And you see that Super V battle. Once again, we've been going back and forth with these two boats. Now What's Up is on the outside. Last time we saw them were on the inside. Maybe Louie's got the hot line.
Now you're starting to see the differences between Louie and Smitty's boat. Louie's boat is a 35-foot fountain compared to Smitty's 38-foot fountain. What that means is Louie's having to run his boat strung out just a little bit more. Like they say in NASCAR, loose is fast, but it's out of control, and that's what you're seeing here with Louie. He's not out of control, he's just making that boat go as fast as he can.
And What's Up has been the boat to chase all season long, but right now, the hunted is the hunter. He's trying to chase down Louie, one of his closest friends on the OPA Tour, and Louie is one of those beloved characters here in OPA racing, and we heard from him a little bit earlier in the weekend.
Looks like it may kick up a bit, and you know, not real big ocean waves, but this we call it base slop by us. In Patchogue we got beat up, and it could kick up here too, where prop selection is tremendously important. Our rough water wheels won't make the course. We'll be on the rev limiter, and our big wheels might be too much if it gets rough. So we're going to wait till the last second, and then we're going to surprise them.
Well, no surprises at this point in the season, I wouldn't think, with between these two great friends and competitors. I mentioned earlier, Mike, not only is this a terrific race course, but the tens of thousands of fans who showed up are also treated to everything else that Solomon's Island has in store. Great restaurants, great sightseeing, and a great history in racing. Although Solomon's Island is a brand new venue for OPA racing, the fact is that this Chesapeake Bay area is steeped in powerboat racing history. As a matter of fact, right across the street from the main venue sits the Calvert Marine Museum, which captures some of that history from the hydroplanes and powerboat races from the 1950s through the 1970s, keeping the powerboat racing history alive and well here in the Chesapeake Bay area for generations to come. Interesting to note, powerboat racing in the Chesapeake Bay region can be traced back at least as far as 1906, when a regatta on the Miles River in St. Michael's was documented. The boat, named Fairbanks of Baltimore, won the 8-mile race with a time of 39 minutes. That's a course blistering speed of over 12 miles an hour. The OPA Offshore Racing Series, brought to you by AMF Offshore Rigging, the country's finest rigging company, and rigger of world champion Miss Geico, coming right back. Welcome back to Solomon's Island, Maryland for the National High Points Championship of the OPA Offshore Racing Series, presented by Geico. Rich Hollenberg, Mike Yawoski, glad you're joining us for one of the biggest races in the world when it comes to offshore powerboats. And the fans got treated to a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, meeting their favorite drivers of their favorite race boats.
Not only did they get to meet the favorite drivers of their favorite race boats, but discoveries. Jonathan and Andy Hillstrand from the famous show Deadliest Catch showed up at Solomon's Island Yachting Center for an autograph signing session.
Some reality series cred for the OPA Offshore Racing Series. You gotta love that.
Well, you know, it's always great to bring in such big stars. Those guys put their lives on the line to go out and do what they do. There you see Jonathan Hillstrand, the brother. That was Andy Hillstrand, the other brother, up in the helicopter before getting ready to watch a race here in beautiful Solomon's Island, Maryland. You know what? Those guys are always welcome to join us here on the OPA Racing Series as we take a look at the time-banded entry.
Yeah, just them and about 10,000 of their closest friends hanging out in Solomon's Island. Ted Ward from Geico, certainly showing them a good time.
Well, you always have a good time when you hang out with Jonathan and Andy Hillstrand from the Discovery's hit show, Deadliest Catch. As we take a look at Miss Geico, they are your leader overall. They have checked out early. Mark and Scotty have that 50-foot Mystic dialed in.
And how about the Qatar boat looking good on the inside lane here on the Patuxent River?
Spirit of Qatar running second overall to Miss Geico here in Solomon's Island, Maryland. You know, a team talking trash had a lot of work to do coming into this weekend to try and win this national championship.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pretty much change your setup if the conditions are bumpy. But this is in between two bodies of land, so even if the wind kicks up, I don't see it being more than 2 to 3 footers. So we're setting up for a fast race here. We're giving these guys everything we got. Their boats are fast. They accelerate fast. They have good top end in them. If anything, they're raising our game, and we're working harder and trying to figure the boat out and try to get speed wherever we can on the race course to try to catch these guys.
And this is turning out to be a dream season of sorts for Vinny Rafis and company. I mean, they're the current Super Cat National High Points leaders.
Well, it's a lot of work when you're running against these two Spirit of Qatar boats. These boats are very, very fast, but you can't take anything away from talking trash. They've been consistent all year long, and they've worked very, very hard to get to where they've gotten.
And it's been an interesting season for Vinny Rafis because he's been the only constant in that talking trash boat. No such problem for Miss Geico. It's been Scotty and Mark all season long, but they do have a newcomer to their team. Crew Chief Gary Stray came on this year, and he's still pushing this boat to its limits.
Boat seems to be handling and accelerating better and better, so we're able to put more pitch and propeller to the boat to give us more top end speed because it's accelerating good. So the propeller and the setup that we got on the boat this morning, we're hoping to see numbers close to 200 miles an hour out there. So.
Sounds like you're peaking at just the right time with the National High Points Championship at stake here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about ready just to go down to Orange Beach down the road here and put in a good performance down there. But the crew that we've got has worked very, very hard on this boat all year long to get it right. We had a new concept at the beginning of the year, a kind of thing that no other Mystic has been set up like. And we wanted to prove that it would work, and I think we're doing that successfully. It's coming around the corner, and I would just love to have about 3 or 4 other turbine boats to run against and show really how great it's doing.
John Hagen has got to love what he hears from Crew Chief Gary Stray, still not resting on their laurels, always pushing it to the next level.
Trying to go as hard and as fast as they can. They bought that boat. They have had issues with that boat. Gary Stray opened up AMF Offshore Rigging. He took this boat on as a project for them, and it's come out great. And you can see how fast it's going, being able to dominate as well as they are over these Spirit of Qatar boats.
no one's had a better view of the Geico boat than Steve Curtis. You were just on board with Qatar. And what do we have here? A couple of boats in some trouble.
That looked like was up on the inside of the course. Yes, that is them with their engine hatches up. This means strictly business. Louis and Eric in that 35 Fountain have now opened up the lead in Super V. It'll be interesting to see what this does to the National Points Championships as we take a look at boat number 129, Cleveland Construction.
And Cleveland Construction and Lightning Jazz have been going deck to deck, toe to toe, if you will, like heavyweight champs this entire season. And there is no love lost between these two teams. They love talking smack to one another.
Well, it's been a good season. We're going to go in and we're going to give them a good, we're going to give the crowd a good show. It's going to be a good race, nice, tight racing. So, it's going to be nice in the turns. It seems like it's a short course, tight turns, so you're going to see a lot of rooster tails, a lot of high speeds. So it's going to be fun.
We've been watching them real close, and I know that we had a chance there in Atlantic City that got canceled because of the water, but I went through and redid these engines myself, and we kind of spruced things a little bit, so I was hoping to show them a little bit what we had over in Atlantic City, but now we brought Dave in. Dave's going to get behind the sticks, and we're going to turn around and we're going to give him heck tomorrow.
Well, when he mentions Dave Sikorsky, the backup throttle man for the Cleveland Construction boat. He has not been in this boat since Ocean City, Maryland, so it'll be interesting to see how that pair patches up against the pair of Lightning Jacks.
And it's been another great battle for Class 3 as well. Bull on the beach with about a couple of rooster tail lead right now.
Over that V-bottom of TKO, Walt Charlie out of Pennsylvania. They're hanging back. Remember, we've talked about this all year long, this bracket class style racing. It doesn't matter if that boat is 20 seconds out in front of you, if it's a minute out in front of you, you have to run your race, stay consistent in second place, because if Bull on the Beach breaks out, that means TKO takes the win today.
And you take a look at the Cat class again. Their Spirit of Qatar on the inside lane. Smooth water, it looks like they found it, and you mentioned it before. They seemingly found an extra gear here on the river.
Yeah, a little bit, but look at Miss Geico. You want to talk about speed, that's an example.
Miss Geico leading the race again in the Cat Extreme class. We're back to finish things up after this. Welcome back to Solomon's Island, Maryland. The sun is setting, but that just means the good times are getting rolling for the OPA Offshore Racing Series presented by Geico. Rich Hollenberg, Mike Urwaski, and just off the race course, the fans didn't go home. They headed to one of the big parties that took place this weekend. And Mike, I got to give you credit. You were instrumental in bringing this race here and organizing great events like this for the fans and the race teams.
Have to thank Catamaran's Bar and Restaurant for one great party on Friday night. Everybody had a wonderful time. There was some hot action inside that bar, but now we've got hot action on the race course.
Certainly do, and every time you think the Qatar boat has found an answer to Miss Geico just blows right past her on the backstretch.
Well, Miss Geico spools up those turbines. You can see Spirit of Qatar on the inside. You might start to think that Mark and Scotty are watching out of their rear view camera, keeping the Spirit of Qatar boats in check. Instead of having to run the equipment really, really hard, maybe what they're doing is just staying out there just in front of them.
You are seeing what Steve Curtis is seeing right now as he hits one of those buoy pins.
He's headed into the corner. He's looking over his shoulder to make sure nobody's on the inside of him. The only boat right now he has to worry about is on the outside. That's number 113, Miss Geico.
And you talk about dancing on the water. That's a beautiful shot. You see how it just skims atop the Patuxent River.
There's the boat in the third overall position. Mateo and Ali in boat number 95, Spirit of Qatar. That puts Talkin' Trash, boat number 30, fourth place overall, trying to catch those top three boats.
You know, I don't know if they would take it as a compliment or not, but they're like the little boat that could in this class. Nobody really expected them to compete, but compete they are against some of these bigger boats.
Look at Miss Geico put a move on boat number 96, Spirit of Qatar. Miss Geico on the outside just went out of your screenshot. There she is again. She is starting to open up the lead as we wrap up this race here in Solomon's Island, Maryland.
It's just amazing when they make those turns. It's like they're shot out of a cannon, Mike.
Great acceleration, great setup. Gary Stray had talked about it earlier with the propellers, but look at Spirit of Qatar trying to put a move back up onto Miss Geico.
Wow, look at that. You would think that they don't have enough, but now that the boats are getting lighter, with the fuel being burned off, it could be anybody's race.
Look at this battle in Class 3. TKO has taken over the lead. They are going to come across the start-finish line, take the white flag, meaning the last lap. Bull on the Beach in second place. Bull on the Beach led almost all day. As you see, Wanted Racing in third. They will also take the white flag.
Wow, this would be a disappointing loss for Bull on the Beach. The Anselmos, like you said, have led from virtually the green flag dropping, but kudos to TKO for hanging in there, picking their spots, and it looks like they might have a victory on their hands.
Looks like Was Up 2 is still out of the race. That leaves Strictly Business in first place in Super V. You've got Lightning Jacks on the outside, your leader in Class 1. These boats just having some deck-to-deck racing fun here on the Patuxent River.
That's right, they're not in the same class, but you know what? When you get close to a boat, you want to pass that boat no matter who it is.
Exactly, so Lightning Jacks on the outside, Strictly Business on the inside. Here is Cleveland Construction. We know that Ed and Dave had a little bit higher hopes for this event. Unfortunately, weren't able to come through. Have to give a big shout out to Ed and Dave for taking Dusty Ryder on board that boat and allowing him to race with them today. Dusty lost his father on this very river earlier in the year.
Okay, we are into the final stretch, and down the stretch they come. These are the big boats. Geico on the left, Qatar on the right, and they are as close as they've been all season long.
Look how Spirit of Qatar is carrying the bow. They've got that boat trimmed as high as it'll go. Mark and Scotty put the hammers down as we go on board.
On board with Miss Geico, and it looks like she's putting a little bit of separation between her and the Qatar boat, at least a rooster tail lead, as they come toward the start-finish line.
Well, you can see they found cleaner water. The water in the middle that's white is aerated water. They want smooth water. They've done that. They're taking the checkered flag in Solomon's Island, Maryland.
So another big victory for Scotty, Mark, Gary, and the rest of the team, but another terrific showing by the Spirit of Qatar boats.
Another great showing by Talking Trash. Those guys have been in it to win it all year long. That's what they've tried to do.
And now you're looking at Strictly Business. Probably not the way he'd want to win a race because the Was Up boat was broken down in the middle of the race course earlier, but still a victory nonetheless. And Mark Granite takes that coveted checkered flag. That's one thing the fans always look forward to. You never know what Granite's going to do on the deck of that boat when he's holding that black and white flag.
Well, it has to be an awesome feeling for this Miss Geico team. Remember, here in Maryland, this is Geico's backyard. This was a very, very important race to them. There's Louie and Eric, the checkered flag in Super B. Like you said, probably a tough day for them.
Yeah, but certainly a win is a win, and their partner in crime, Ed Smith, is probably happy for him nonetheless. Lightning Jacks, another outstanding showing, leaving Cleveland Construction in its wake. And in a rain-soaked race course, Miss Geico leads the rest of the champions to the winner's circle. We'll have official results when we come back. The 2010 OPA Offshore Racing Series has been brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on your insurance needs. By Coke. Twist the cap to refreshment. And by Coors Light. Toss a cold silver bullet to a friend now. Welcome back to Solomon's Island, Maryland, home of the national championships for the OPA Racing Series, presented by Geico. And we have the owner of the world champion Miss Geico team. There's something to be said for winning and winning with a smile on your face.
Oh, hell, you got to have a big smile. You know how that is. And, that way you can go home with a prom queen afterwards. Isn't that all that matters?
It's been a long season, regardless of the wins or not wins and the struggles. I mean, you guys struggled early on. There was some controversy that you don't normally have to face. What's it like to get through all of that and still end up on top?
You mean to have your whole boat catch on fire in the very first?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I mean, 3 guys are burned and all that stuff. I'm going, and I'm sponsored by an insurance company. I'm so screwed here. No, but everything worked out for the best. I got a hold of Adam West. He's going to come and do a photo shoot with us since we are driving the Bat boat now and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Why don't you follow me, do some filming of the awards, because that's really what matters. Because we won today. We won again.
Congratulations.
Pleasure, man.
Your Class 4 championship results. Boat number 401, Simmons Racing, taking home the series as boat number 400, FormulaBoats.com, comes in second, and Cairo 1 comes in third. Congratulations to Jim Simmons and Kyle Dietzen as they have had a great season in Class 4.
And Mike, how about Class 3 and that come-from-behind victory by TKO?
TKO did an outstanding job. That victory today gave them the National Points Championship as Bull on the Beach comes in second.
So Team TKO pulls off the daily double, a win here in Maryland and the National High Points Championship. First off, congratulations. Second off, give us a look back at the season. Was it consistency that did it for you?
Yeah, it was a great season. The venues were all really nice this year. Coming here was a topper at the end of the year. It was beautiful water. It was a nice time. The rain bothered a little bit at the end, but other than that, it was a great venue, and the whole season was good. And we just stayed a little consistent and picked our way away and came across as the points champion, national champion.
In Class 1, it was Cleveland Construction taking home the national championship over Lightning Jacks.
And it's been somewhat of an up and down year for Ed Smith and company in the Cleveland Construction boat, but he ends up exactly where he wants to be, a national champion.
Speaking of father-son teams, we'll move on to Super V now. And in Super V, it was a father-son team of Ed and Anthony Smith taking home the national championship.
The Was Up boat finishes where it finished last year as the best.
Funny thing was, the overall High Points Championship was between our two boats. You know, and so if we'd have won this race, we'd have knocked them off that pedestal. Our boat kept shutting off. I said to my son, this kid's probably got a little, what do they call those little dolls they stick the pins in? You know, because the boat kept turning off. I'm like, what's going on here? And then we started back up and it would go again and it would shut off, you know. So I think he had a little something to do with that today.
Strategically speaking now, you know you have bragging rights on your dad, and you can pull that card anytime you want to.
Yeah, I've been using it already.
It ain't over yet, though. The Worlds are coming up, and all right, Was Up got the national championship this year. We're going after the Worlds. We want the big stuff. We already have a national championship, so, you know.
And in Super Cat, it was boat number 30, Talking Trash, Jimmy Winters, Vinny Farice, taking it home after they found out consistency pays.
Well, you know, it's good to have Jimmy back in the boat, of course. You know, like he says, we eat from the same banana, and we're starting to eat from the same banana again. And you know what? He's right. When you're out of the boat for a while, it takes a little while to find the edges again. And once you find the edges and you feel comfortable, we do what we got to do and what we do best.
And a tip of the cap to Sheikh Hassan and Steve Curtis, winners of the Super Cat class in Solomon's Island.
Didn't ask for anything better than this. I mean, the other boats had really raced hard with us all season long. You know, we gained on them on a couple of their own mistakes, but you know that's racing, and that's what it's all about.
Running the sticks next to this guy, what was that like all season long?
It was great, you know. The more we're running together, the better it's getting together, and it was a good race out there again today. You know, Talking Trash was slightly small on propeller, and Ali and Mateo made a little mistake going up the straightaway. We didn't make any mistakes, so we came out front. So, you know, and Billy obviously had the fuel problem, so, you know, everything helped us. They gave it to us in the end.
Spirit of Qatar really brings that international sense to this race. Are you saving anything for the World Championships next time in Orange Beach?
I don't know. This is what we all got. You know, whatever was there in that little pod, we got it out there today. So hopefully we can do the same performance on Orange Beach, and hopefully we can do something and get the maximum points and take another trophy home.
In the Cat Extreme category, it was Miss Geico taking the win overall today here in Solomon's Island, Maryland, and the national championship.
Once again, Geico finds itself in a class by itself. What's it like competing against other people, but knowing that you're also, in a way, competing against yourself, always at the top of the heat?
Well, number one, we're always looking for first overall, so we want to make sure that the boat's running right. We're running very, very fast. Competing against WHM, Talking Trash, and the Qatar boats. Remember, these guys are the best in the world. These guys are the fastest boats in the world. They're running 150 plus miles an hour out there. And in this kind of water with this tight a course, it takes everything you can to make sure that you hold the boat together and you make the right moves on it. So it was an exciting day today. Those guys drove a tremendous race. Just staying outside of them and running a clean race and good event is good enough for us.
Scotty, winning never gets old, does it?
Well, I'm just gonna say that we have much more horsepower and a much faster boat than everybody else out there, and I'm really tired of Aquamania and JBS not showing up, and they could stay home all they want. We are the heavyweight champion of the world. They need to come out here and prove themselves. Sitting home, doing poker runs, ain't cutting.
You hear that?
That's the bottom.
Stay at home, talk on the internet, do all your funny stuff, and talk about how great you are. Come out, beat us on the race course, really beat us with our boat, and then you can call yourself a world championship #1.
The only question that remains, I guess, did you save anything? Is there anything in your bag of tricks for Orange Beach in the World Championships?
Oh my, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, certainly congratulations to Miss Geico and all of the national champions that were crowned here in Solomons Island, Maryland. And got to tell you, Mikey, you pulled off a great race here this past weekend. Everybody had a great time, and the fans were treated to world-class racing.
It was a great race site. You know, it was a great race season all year long to get to this point. Remember, we've got one more race to go, Orange Beach, Alabama. Have to thank Bayside Chevrolet. If it weren't for them, Solomons Island would not have been able to happen. Thank you very much to those guys. I don't know about you, Rich, but I'm ready to go to Orange Beach and see what the Gulf of Mexico has to offer.
For my broadcast partner, Mike Iwasaki,